Welcome to the Flourish Frequency, the show where we activate and amplify the frequencies of success, joy, and abundance. I'm your host, Beth Larson, a high-performance and quantum success coach. If you're ready to ditch the hard hustle and embrace a more effortless flow, then this is the show for you. Together, we'll tap into quantum thinking, harness the laws of the universe, and unlock the secrets to living a life of more. More joy, more energy, more passion, more money, and more meaning. No more simply surviving, we're going beyond thriving. It's time to flourish. The Flourish Frequency Show starts now. Welcome back to the Flourish Frequency. I'm your host, Beth Larson, and today I have two very special guests with me, Rachel and Chris Moore. And here's the question I pose. What happens when two people commit fully to their dreams, take aligned action, and elevate first as individuals, but also together as a couple? In this episode, Chris and Rachel are joining me here to talk just about that. They have gone from dreaming a bigger life to actually realizing a bigger life. And they've become multi-millionaire real estate investors, realtors. Rachel has a highly successful influencing business with her brand, Pinteresting Plans. You know, Chris is finding his way as an influencer as well in the recovery world. And you've opened up a school down there in your dream world. So, I mean, so much to explore here today, and very, very excited to talk to you guys. You know, in this episode, we want to dive into the mindset shifts that have turned your vision into a reality, how you've scaled your wealth and impact as a power couple, the importance of the alignment and the energy and taking bold action, and what your life looks now and how you're continuing to expand, because we know you're not done yet by any means. So this episode is for everyone as a reminder that your dream life isn't just possible, that it's waiting for you to step into it. So thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah.
You know we love you.
I have to say, you know, this is the month of love with Valentine's Day. And, you know, when I was thinking about what episode I wanted to do this month, my question that I posed to myself is, what would I love to talk about? And who would I love to talk to? And the two of you were the first ones that popped up. Like you,
Aww.
It was a no-brainer for me. So I was really happy that you said yes.
And we're taping on Valentine's Day Eve.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So thank you guys for joining again. You know, so Rachel, you and I first met, I was looking back on it. It was in 2021, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a few years now. And, you know, I think what I'd love to talk about first is maybe set a little context of where were you at that time in your life, because that was the before and where you are now is dramatically different. Can you put a little context there? And when did you first feel the pull to something bigger? And what was the moment where you think that you fully committed to that bigger?
So we met, I had been listening to podcasts, and I think that I had searched in Apple Podcasts prosperity. That was just a word that had come to me. I was feeling super burned out. I had a business that I had really loved. And in 2020, social media was just a really becoming very tough place to show up. And so it was like I had been really excited about work and family and business. And then it was like, oof, like heaviness to even just open social media, which is one of my main advertising channels. And so I had heard you on a podcast, divinely guided to me. And at the end, you said you do personal coaching. And I had always thought, wow, I would really love to work with a coach, but I hadn't known anybody in a similar industry to me who had worked with a coach that could really refer somebody. So I figured, why not reach out to you? And I did, and we spoke, and it was like the message that you sent back to me was what I had been kind of hoping to hear. And so we started working together, and you really helped open my eyes to how much I thought I was successful, but I wasn't because I was just forcing everything. I was so heavily in my masculine energy that I could see what I wanted a lot of times and then I would just force it. But I remember you giving me the exercise of the juicy dream and kind of setting more unrealistic goals. And just even that was really challenging for me. And it really opened to my eyes to how much I wasn't accomplishing because I wasn't really making time to dream. I was so action oriented,
Mm-hmm.
not really making time to think, what would I actually love here?
Yeah. Yeah. And for anybody listening, I think Juicy Dream was like the very first podcast episode. So go back if you want to know more about that. You can go back to the first episode I did because we talked about that. And really being able to, you said go to that space of unbelievability. Actually, it's really important to be able to do that and let yourself go there. So
Yes, I was extremely, I think most people know what a SMART goal is, realistic, measurable, all of the things. So I was very skilled at SMART goals. I could set timelines for myself and accomplish almost anything, but I didn't really have a grip on what I wanted.
yeah. And that is a very valuable skill. I mean, the action is something that where a lot of people actually get stuck. So that has also served you well, but we've learned how to kind of marry the two
Mix them.
energies together. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Chris, what was it like for you watching Rachel really kind of step into her next level? And how do you think it's impacted your own growth? Because I've seen you grow too.
Sure. Well, it's either grow or get out of the way, you know.
Yeah.
When you're married to somebody like Rachel who's ready to grow and is growing. How did you word that question again?
What was it like watching her step into her next level? And how do you think it's impacted you and your own growth?
Sure. What it was like watching, it was super fun. All of a sudden we had some money and that was great. Like financial security. I was like, hey, we're rich. Look at this. So I'd be lying if that I didn't if I wasn't super excited about that. It was like you know, I saw the results so fast.
Mm,
It was exciting. It was like the funnest time. We kind of went from I had like just gotten out of rehab and all of a sudden we were in the fast lane on the highway. So it was just super fun. And so, and I think that's a big reason why people want to maybe get coaching or get into any of the growth mindset stuff. And it is true, like the success and the growth all kind of happen together as one. And there's nothing wrong with wanting all that stuff. But
yeah.
it was fun being around it. The impact that you had and continue to have on us, we just started talking differently right away. That's the thing I noticed right
Mm,
away. Rachel started kind of holding my thoughts and words, um, holding them accountable, being like, um, why not? Just a lot of why nots. Why not do this and why not do that? And why can't we do both? And just conceptually, not, being growth oriented and not just like letting me get away with saying something that was so limiting.
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. A lot of times you'll see when one person starts to grow and elevate, the dynamic shifts so much in a couple. And you kind of said it. It's like you either step up and grow with the other person, or the opposite can also happen as you really dig your heels in with resistance. And oftentimes couples don't make it when that happens, and I'm curious, what would be your advice to somebody in that situation, that if you feel some of that resistance, like how do you get yourself to like move into the growth space and not resist?
I still feel some of that. I still get resentful and jealous and fearful.
Mm,
So who am I to answer that question? I have um, a toolbox that Alcoholics Anonymous gave me to really hone in and deal with resentments, but
mm,
they still come up. It's not
yeah,
easy. Um,
yeah,
ask Scottie Pippen.
yeah,
He's a total disaster mess. He's
yeah,
still so pissed and it's so fresh because all the resentments he didn't deal with Michael Jordan or whatever. And so it's super hard. And what's my best advice? Um, focus on creating value
mm,
because without it, if you're linked up with someone who is very growth oriented and is successful and comes from a place of like power and not force and all those great things, it's not the easiest thing to be around for a variety of reasons.
yeah,
um, but with a sense of urgency, create value because if you don't feel that value and know that you're bringing something, it'll be exposed really quick.
yeah,
Because if you're not creating, if you're not generating value, then really quick you'll feel like, um, can we, really small because you
yeah.
are in comparison. It's just a hard truth to get around, and that's my best advice.
I
Just
love
like
that. I love that, Chris. Actually, you're saying something really powerful there. It's like creating value, but in doing so, you actually are validating your own value. And I think that's a lot of times where people get stuck and in that resistance is because they don't see themselves as valuable or value. Like they're not owning their own worth and their worthiness. And so, that idea of creating value is you become that person of increase that actually validates yourself in the process. And that is a very, self-fulfilling energy in a very positive way. So thank you for sharing that.
yeah. Don't be a stay-at-home spouse silently in the background. That will get old eventually, and that I don't think that dynamic is super great.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I
Um,
think a stay-at-home spouse is creating a lot of value.
a lot of value, but I think what you were saying is, but not seeing your value in doing that. Is that correct? Did I hear that
Correct.
right? Okay.
Yep. And Rachel's totally right. You're totally right. If that's the value you're bringing and you're comfortable in that role, you'll know it. And if you're not, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Um, what were some of the fears or challenges that you faced when you decided to make the move? So you were in Connecticut at the time, right?
Yep.
And you really had this dream. Part of your juicy dream was to get down to Florida and start a
Hmm.
life down there. What were some of the fears that came up and how did you move through that?
Once we decided to move, I really was not so much in a lot of fear. I remember actually other people bringing up fears, like, what if you don't
Mhm.
like it? And I was like, well, I could move back. But you just renovated your house. You love your house. Well, I can renovate another house. So I remember other people kind of placing their fears on me more than me having my own fears around it once we had decided to move. It didn't, I remember Chris working out with one of our best friends and just thinking a little bit of sadness around we have so many great friends here.
Mm,
So, I hope we can build a really strong network there. Um, but I was so ready to go.
yeah. Yeah, you were all in at that point.
Yeah.
And Chris, what did you think when she came home? that day, or you came home. I don't know how exactly happened. And she's like, we're doing it. We're moving. Like, what went through your head?
Gee, um, I don't remember the exact moment. And we were talking this morning. We've been aligned on some stuff and super not aligned on other stuff and all kinds of push and pull. It was COVID during that particular time, and Connecticut sucked, and I was really ready to. I think we were both ready to get out, and maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I don't remember like a white light moment or real one singular conversation. I just remember also being ready to move.
I can remember you shifting my perspective because we had renovated a house, and part of the final step to get it ready to list was painting it. And when we
Hmm.
had it painted, 15 windows on the house broke, and they were all custom wood windows. It was a custom home. And somebody came out and gave us a quote for $200,000 to replace them. It was a large home, and I was like, what? You know, we've spent that much renovating this house, and now we're going to lose all of that equity we just built because of these windows. And so you did so much coaching with me because I was just like so weighed down by that. And I remember the perspective shift was you said like something to the effect of, you're worried about $200,000. What if you move to Florida where you want to be and make $2 million in real estate next year? And I was like, oh, wow, that is quite the possibility. And I would rather lean into that. And so that was what I went downstairs and was like, we got to get the heck out of here. Let's pack up. Let's just sell it as is. I don't care. Like it'll look like a loss, but it's a win. And we did. We went down and hey, what a good time to be buying a lot of real estate at the beach in 2021.
Yeah. I remember this story so well. And I remember the dancing back and forth about those windows. But look at what you guys did. You put yourself into the energy, the mindset, and the actions of the version of yourselves that you wanted to be, not working from the version that you were at that point in time, at that point in time. So not working from your current circumstances. And that's something we talk about a lot here on this show is, not working from circumstantial power or circumstances, but working from the future self, the version of you who already has this all figured out.
Consult your higher self.
Always. Always. All right. Well, I think we're going to take a quick break here. And then when we come back, we'll dive deeper here with Chris and Rachel. All right, so we are back here with Chris and Rachel Moore, my amazing guests here today. And we are talking now a little bit. I want to hear a little bit about how you've built your wealth and your impact together by staying in this energetic alignment. And what do you do when things are misaligned? Chris, you mentioned that sometimes you're not always fully in alignment. So, first, Rachel, how do you balance your personal growth with your business expansion? What's your philosophy around that, and how do you approach that?
So I like the philosophy, I work to live, I don't live to work. And I can certainly get out of balance with that. So I would say recognizing when I am, maybe neglecting responsibilities at my house, getting really burned out with things that are important to me at home, like cooking.
Mm.
Nutrition and cooking are really important to me. And I like to balance it with the fact that I do love working in business, but not at the expense of giving up my values. Last year, I would say Chris was really busy growing the real estate brokerage that we own. We own a school, and our co-owner stepped down into a more student-facing role instead of more parent-facing role, which was ultimately great for the school and for her. But at the time, that meant like all of the ownership tasks fell in my lap and I was extremely overwhelmed. And a lot of discomfort of I'm not doing a good job. I'm looking for someone's approval and I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. So leaning into a lot of discomfort and growth there, but I think that both of us were so focused on our business that there was a huge disconnect for us
Yeah.
that we ultimately had, went through like a harder time and had to lean into a lot of discomfort to decide what does feel in alignment and what can we do to get there.
Yeah. When you look back on that this last year and everything that you went through, both like in that particular role, but also maybe even as a couple, looking back on it, why do you think it all happened for you?
I was gonna say, I was waiting to say it's all happening for us, because that's one of my top 10 Bethisms, and I probably have at least 50. Um, Geez, I could think of about 20 ways. I think it was really good for me as somebody who's used to being a leader to also step back and let somebody else lead and receive things that I'm not necessarily comfortable doing. I'm very naturally, what feels easier for me is to just like be extremely independent and decisive and uh, you know, making all the decisions. Um, and so really leaning into the discomfort of not holding that control was a life-changing lesson for me, to get to a better outcome.
That's great. And Chris, why do you think it happened for you?
Tough times suck. But it's the only place that growth has ever come to me.
Mm,
When you're winning, you're just winning. So why did it happen? I was looking back, I would say I was ready for some growth. And I'm 42 now. I think for the first time, I kind of recognized some of that in the moment, which was great. Um, but at the same time, it's just terrible to being out of alignment, feeling like you're losing, tough times in general. They're only fun afterwards. They're really hard.
well,
So
you
why
bring
is
up
it,
some,
the question is, why is
yeah.
it working? How did it work for me?
Yeah, why do you think when you look at it in hindsight that it happened for you? Like, what did you get out of that that allowed you to actually grow?
Sure. It was a unique opportunity um, for me to see Rachel in less of like a perfect light. I don't think it's fair to put somebody on a pedestal all the time. I actually think it's really dangerous. So it
Mm,
really helped me move away from that and and really take a step back. And it had been a long time of a lot of growth, especially since I came out of rehab in 2015.
mm,
Um, but a combination of, seeing not only Rachel, but our relationship in a more real light and then choosing that thing. It was a rare opportunity for me to actually have clarity that this is a relationship and a thing that I choose today.
wow,
Almost
love that.
like a big restart on that foundational thought.
Love that. Yeah, that's great. And what do you think has been the biggest mindset shift for you, Chris, that's allowed you to actually step into this level of wealth and success?
Mindset change.
Mindset or it could be
Was that
emotions. It
how
could
did
be
you word that question?
what has been the biggest mindset shift or embodied shift that has helped you step into this level of growth and success, this level of wealth and success? Because you've really elevated yourself into another level. And,
Mhm.
what do you think was happened that allowed you to actually step into that? Not outside of you, but what happened from inside you that allowed you to really, what do I want to say? I want to say like calibrate to that level. Because a lot of people will hit a certain level of success, but then they sabotage themselves. And so they
Yeah.
can't hold on to it. And so something here has shifted for you in a bigger way that's allowed you to really kind of normalize this level of wealth and success for yourself.
Sure. Um, the way you asked the question, it's all very hard. And I also, I feel insecure. I get money hungry. I get way too deep into the weeds, and I'm all those things also. It's not like, but what has, so it's
But
just
what
like,
stops you from, I should say, that what you're describing as being human. We all do
yeah,
that. But some people stay there. You lead yourself through it. How do you lead yourself through it when those times pop up?
sure. What's been, we've tried a lot of growth avenues kind of all at once. It's almost like, we've been a lot like that with health as well. You read the wheat belly and you try to stay away from grains and you do interval exercises and you go all cardio and everything. We've done a lot of things in a short amount of time. We've thrown a lot of darts with mindset, and um, I think you were one of the darts that hit the bullseye.
Mm.
I don't like coaches, and I'm thinking the same thing everyone else is thinking when they go to sign up for a coach, which is if they were so good, why don't they do it for themselves and go make $1 billion and be Elon Musk? I feel like most people are thinking that at one point or another.
Not me.
Um, and that thought process is super broken and doesn't make sense. There's also other thoughts of everybody I know at a high level of success is being coached.
Mm,
Tiger Woods' golf coach can't beat him at golf. There's
yeah.
there's a whole bunch of thoughts that make a whole lot more sense than that first one. That first one is just fear.
Yeah.
And so you were a major impact in shifting the mindset. And there were some books I read at the right time that really helped me see more clearly what I'm good at and that I should be leaning into that. Because, you know, leaning into my more powerful points and leaning away from my frustration points, really the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was a coincidence when, as Rachel started being coached and mindset started expanding, all of a sudden our group of people looked completely different. Our whole social circle was just like these massive growth mindset people, um, that we've just continued to grow and learn so much from, and lean on that circle as well. Everybody just like magnet, like a magnet attracted each other, and we all kind of grow together.
Yeah, that is a beautiful point to make because, I think Rachel, you said before that when you were talking about making the move, it was other people's fears that were actually, the only thing that was like wanting to kind of pull you back in. But you didn't let that stop you. And as you aligned to other people who talk a bigger picture and live a bigger picture, you naturally start to come into alignment with that. It's why you never want to hang around with people who are commiserating because there's
Mm.
commiserators are, there's misery in the word commiserate, and they're just trying to make each other feel good. It's not necessarily an intentional thing, because there's that place of, I just want to feel good about myself. But then you learn how to feel good about yourself without needing the validation from it. Does that make sense?
I love this saying, complaining is contagious negativity.
Oh, exactly.
And I don't
And
want to
all
be
energy,
contagious.
yeah, and all energy is contagious, right? That's the basics of law of attraction is like energy attracts like energy. Like
Mm.
thinking attracts like thinking. And you never want to be totally in a silo where you're not open to other ideas, but at the same time, it's like you being able to listen to other ideas and make your own decisions and decide what's true for you. How do you do that? How do you decide and distinguish the difference between what other people are saying and what's true for you?
That's a good question. Um, I do also want to note, like, people in your life will definitely fall off if, they'll resist your growth because it's like a part of you, the you that you used to be is sort of dying. They're almost like mourning that this new person is evolving because maybe they're not ready for it. So I think that has been something that is a perspective shift for me, maybe with friends who we just sort of like lose interest in one another, maybe. I don't know a great way to say it, but people will resist you and you will resist other people. And those emotions are just a good place to look inside of, what is it about me or what is it about them that's making these feelings come up? Um, in terms of your own truth, well, I have a few tools in my pocket that my coach Beth gave me. One of them is breath work. I think kind of getting out of your mind, like into your subconscious mind and your heart is so powerful in terms of aligning with your truth.
Yeah. So,
Mm.
so true. So true. And we're going to take a break here in a second, but can you share a little bit with the listeners, where can they find you? Where can they find out more about you? I definitely want to make sure that we've got a chance for people
They
to
can
learn more
find
about
me at all the best hot spots along 30A on the Emerald Coast of Florida. Uh,
you. Yep.
my influencer business is at Pinteresting Plans or pinterestingplans.com on the web. And then we have a real estate brokerage, Stay on 30A. We are investor focused, but we also do residential real estate as well. And then we have a property management company that serves most of our investors, Stays on 30A on Instagram. And then we also own a school, Acton Academy of 30A. That's where our kids attend, a very non-traditional school. We were just kind of talking about how Chris has learned more to lean into his strengths and away from his frustrations. And I
Mm.
think learning that at a young age is so valuable. I think school has shaped so many people to think like, I'm bad at math or I'm bad at this, I'm not good at this. And it's, well, hey, you have like 8 million other gifts. Why are you focusing on the one thing that's a frustration for you? Hire somebody for that. Hire somebody to do
Yeah,
your math.
exactly.
So this school concept really aligned with my vision for what I hoped my kids would grow up like, and I certainly give them the choice if they want to attend there. So far they have.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And Chris, where can we find you on Instagram?
Well, most of what we do is together.
Yep.
So ditto to all that, but you can find me at Rachel is Pinteresting Plans and I am Him-teresting Plans.
We're
Love it.
trying to potentially bring that back as men's inspo for outfits and such,
Yeah,
but
there's a big calling for it, I think. At least
we're
in
Yeah.
my
trying
own
to
head.
twist Pete's arm because we're a bit busy, so we think he would be a great asset
Oh,
in
your
that
brother.
adventure. Yes,
Yeah.
you know my brother, my
Aw.
lovey brother.
So I love this. I want the listeners to just take a note here that Rachel is planting a seed. This is what she does very, very, very well, is planting seeds and, just
Almost
letting,
relentlessly.
oh yeah, she'll plant the seed and then she'll come back and water it regularly. So just so you know, that's what she's doing there. I know her very
You
well.
know, you've always said, oh, Florida's not on my, what is the thing that you did? Like some geographical,
My locational astrology.
yeah,
Yeah,
your
my
locational
astrocartography.
astrology. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, those things can't be 100% accurate. Florida looks good on you.
I, I love it. I do love it down there. We'll talk a little bit about more about that because we'll talk more. Let's take a quick break and we'll be back with Rachel and Chris. All right, we're back here with Chris and Rachel, and I want to hear what your life looks like now that you are actually living your dream in 30A down there. Like what does the dream life look like right now currently?
The dream life looks like hiring people, buying our time back. Uh, I actually did a breath work probably a year ago with you, and at the end, you had us do an exercise. I don't know if you would call it an exercise, where we met our higher self. I
Mm.
think it was on a beach, or at least in whatever you were guiding us, I was picturing on a beach. And you said they have a message for you. What is it? And I started bawling, and I don't usually do that. And it was like, you already have it. You've already invested in so much real estate. Like, you are financially prepared already. So slow down and just enjoy it.
Mm.
So, what enjoying it looks like for me, and Chris can speak, but I think he's pretty aligned, is we get to hire and work with people we really love to work with and watch them succeed financially and have fun. And it takes work off our plate and frees us up to do the things that we really love about our businesses rather
Yeah,
than, sort of hitting the pain points. Because some people, I think it's been a realization for me over the last few years that things that are pain points for me, other people love doing. So I used to kind of feel bad delegating to my team, like, oh, this is like the grunt work. For me, it's the grunt work. And they love that. They wouldn't like doing a lot of the things that I really like. So, yeah,
yeah.
growing teams to kind of just have fun and build wealth together. And a lot of team dinners and breakfasts and lunches.
I love it. I love it. You created almost a family, within your
Yeah,
teams too. I know how much you care about the people that you work with. So it's
that's
really
for
amazing.
sure.
How about you, Chris? What's that dream life look like from your perspective?
From my perspective, well, geez, I come from Connecticut, so it's really way cooler down here. It's way
Nothing
better
against
and
the Connecticut people.
it's way better and it's way easier. It's we come from a place where like the population is shrinking. It's a lot of old when you're here, um, we have all these investment properties that generate so much income that I'm able to link up investors with. 30A, most people, most of the country still doesn't know about it. It's so
Yeah.
young, and every single person has the same reaction when they come down here is what the hell is this? It's you feel like you're walking in Europe and
Yeah.
then you're at where the Truman Show was filmed over in CSET. You can't even believe what you're looking at, and it's this 10-mile stretch of road. So it's the pull of this place is so strong, and everything is expanding here because of that. So the business and the investing and the tourism and most of the country doesn't even know it's here. It's a place of such extreme growth. It just it really makes everything quite easy. And it's real the whole geographic location has attracted a certain type of person, um,
Mhm.
which seems to be a pretty young entrepreneurial type of person.
Yeah.
So we're surrounded by that, and that doesn't really totally answer your question, but it's what I wanted to talk about. Um, is 30A. It's super fun, and
Yeah.
then I also wholeheartedly agree with everything Rachel was saying. I spent a lot of time trading my time for money,
Hmm.
and I don't see it the same way. And as a matter of fact, the more I start trading back, um, everything kind of grows together. The more I trust everybody around me and the more we hire out, um, the bigger the whole pie seems to get anyways. So it's that whole way of thinking is kind of broken, and I really don't see it the same way. But as I let go of my own like constricting type controlling fears and and let things get out of the way a little bit so things can grow at the pace they want to. We seem to be getting our time back a lot more in 25, and that's more exciting to me than anything.
Yeah. Well, I think it's definitely also though because you've made some intentional decisions along the way, and keep grounded in that being a priority for you. Because I'll take it back again to this idea of circumstantial power versus personal power. A lot of people let time and money make the decisions for them, and time and money are really just circumstances, right? It's like
Hmm.
you think you either have it or you don't have it, but when you're the one who makes the decisions, then you let time and money show up for you. You start to see the opportunities and the places where you can actually create more time for yourself by doing what you're doing. And that's an intentional decision. But it stems from the space of you're the one who's making the decision. You're not letting time make the decision for you. Does that make sense?
It does.
I've taken Wired for Wealth 3,
Yes.
maybe even 4 times, so it does make sense to me.
I have to say that Rachel actually is my collaborator for Wired for Wealth, specifically because she is such an example of somebody who's taken all of the concepts and not just left them at concepts, not just left it on the level of the cognitive understanding, but she actually implements them. And this is what you see. Everything that they're talking about here today has happened over the course of 4 years, really. Like, I mean, not even when you really think about it. So it's all a lot. You guys have accomplished a whole lot over the last 3.5 years. And it's mind boggling for some people. But you guys are you're also now at a place where you also understand, we can really appreciate and love everything we've got here, and we still get to have more. So, what does more look like for you at this point? What's in the juicy dreams next?
So I would say more service. I'm still growing and expanding Pinteresting plans. I'm really wanting to focus a lot of my business efforts there. We hired an operating partner for our school who I think can do a better job long term than me. So I'll work alongside her, but she will kind of be like more of the driving force, whereas I am now. I feel and think that I have my eyes open enough to see that I'm doing a good job and someone can still do it better. Um, so, I'm so grateful that we've had financial success, and really know a lot about real estate investing, and I try to even just pass that along and offer a ton of free value on social media for free. I think one of the things I can't offer people is fear, like working through their fears. I think mindset is really what holds most people back in investing, that fear of losing money, or fear of things going wrong. So
Yeah.
There's only so much value I can offer, then I think it's a lot of mindset work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, strategy, you know amazing strategies. You've learned amazing strategies along the way, but strategy is only so good if you don't have that mindset dialed in.
Yeah,
And
and I know we've done money archetype, brand archetype, all those things, and I am not, I have a high risk tolerance for money stuff, especially.
yeah,
Um, so, that's not necessarily common, and it's not something people can force. So I think it's more
yeah,
about practice, maybe practice with smaller financial decisions and get more comfortable, and then they keep growing.
yeah. You've been a regular breathwork person for me. And Chris is
I know
really
we
good
can't go
at breathwork
tonight. We have
moving.
friends in town who are here for dinner, so I can't go on the one tonight, but I'll do the replay.
Oh, of course, of course. But I think, I've seen Chris totally get into it now too. And I just have to say, I think that, we are talking about mindset, but there's also this piece of your nervous system being regulated. So you're not letting fear take over, because it really does help move you through um, uh, and calibrate your nervous system. I said this earlier about having a nervous system that lets you have more, that actually normalizes these things for you so that you're not constantly in that space of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn that wants to actually sabotage you and pull you back. And so I commend both of you guys for really leaning in and showing up for yourselves, not just in the mindset, but also with your body, with your emotions, and with your nervous system. Because I definitely think that will continue to support you as you up level. And I know I see it with Rachel specifically all the time, that you have the downloads that happen when
Oh
you do
yeah.
breath
Yeah.
work.
And
She's
I
always got
want
her journal right by her.
like I think the leaning into emotions, you've really taught me a lot about leaning into your triggers. And
Mm,
your triggers are your treasures. So when you have that really emotional response to something, be it fear or anger or whatnot, it's really a time to look at yourself and like, what do I need to heal in myself? Like, how can I coach my younger self through what's coming up in my nervous system right now?
yeah. Yep. What do you love most about the breath work, Chris?
Well, I think you guys are underselling breathwork a little bit. Breathwork is a magic pill. As important as eating right and exercising is to fitness, breathwork is to growth. It's not an easy hour, but
Mm,
it is, it's not just important. I think it's vital and necessary for growth. We get such high levels of, we've done your breathworks with a lot of different people and bigger groups, and it's not, the feedback is not 20% of the people benefited. It's 100% of the people dove in and got life-changing clarity.
yeah.
And I think it's super important to clearly communicate that to everybody because it is magic. It's not super easy. You have to really commit to that hour, and it's even physically a little bit of hard work, but the level of clarity you get back in return is astounding, and it's super necessary for accelerating growth.
Yeah. Oh, I love hearing that. That always makes my heart so happy. That's exactly how it feels for me. And it's why it's so important
It's
for
not
me to share it with
optional.
people. It's not an option.
No, it's not
Yeah.
optional. It's necessary.
Love it. Love it. And one last question. What's the legacy that you two hope to create? What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, we have two children, so I really try to just live in alignment and be an example for them of finding what their alignment feels like and staying authentic to that. And, owning a school, there's certainly room to have impact there. I hope that the learners who are there can really we lean so much into character development there. That's a big part of the curriculum. It's not just academics. And so, some of the things about leaning into uncomfortable conversations and stuff, I can see the possibility for that to have such a huge impact.
It's beautiful. That is beautiful. I see so much of what we've talked about lives in that academy that you've opened and created. So it's a powerful legacy.
Thank you.
Well, Chris and Rachel, thank you so much for joining me here today. And for the listeners, I want to invite you to reflect on your own leap and what might be calling you forward. What's your next level dream? What's possible for you and why not? Right? And what's one step that you could take today? One decision and one step that you could take today to align with
Go
that.
do breath work. You'll get all those answers.
I say a lot of people ask me a lot of investing questions, and I think investing in yourself first. It's like you're not the vessel to receive the money to invest in real estate, as an example, if you aren't comfortable with uncomfortable emotions. So anyway, things like coaching and breath work, I'm a huge advocate for investing in yourself and your personal growth.
Because you are the best investment you can ever make.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you both. And thanks to all the listeners. And we'll see you back next month for the Flourish Frequency Show. You can find me at www.bethlarsoncoaching.com. That's Larson with an E. And you can find out how to sign up for the next breathwork class there. Thank you for tuning in to the Flourish Frequency Show with me, Beth Larson. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and are leaving with a heart full of inspiration and a mind buzzing with the possibilities of more. Tune in every third Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio for more frequency boosting conversations. And if you want more help getting into your Flourish flow and stepping into the possibilities of more, you can find me at bethlarsoncoaching.com. That's bethlarsoncoaching.com, Larson with an E.